Hey YouTube, it's Simply Breezy, and I'm here today to talk to you about an ED10 Beginner's Team Guide. I want to discuss the guide that I wrote and published on Reddit a few weeks ago. It got some good feedback and a lot of comments then, and I'm starting a YouTube channel now, and I'd like to discuss that in a video for those of you that don't like to read it or that would like more in-depth detail on it. Since I have published this guide, Gameloft has actually decided to link it in-game for their entire player base to view, and that's super cool to me. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Gameloft and a thank you for that. I'm incredibly humbled by that. But if you don't know how to see it or how to view it, I can show you quick, and then we'll hop into discussing the guide. In the top left corner of your main menu here, you can see the globe. Click into it, it has Gameloft announcements. And down the road here, we'll run into defeating stage 10 of the Elder Drake boss raid, and if we click the go link, it brings you to Reddit, to the Dungeon Hunter Champion subreddit, to this ED10 beginner's guide that I have published. The guide goes in depth into why you should run Elder Drake, why it should be your first priority after you build a farmer and go through these scenarios and the story modes. It discusses each champion and what they do that'll be in the team, and then how to build them towards the end. And we'll go through the same kind of process here in the video. But let's get into it and check out the champions, and then we'll do some runs. So the first champion we discuss in the guide is one of the 4 supports that we're going to bring, and finally we'll talk about the DPS that we choose, which is kind of interchangeable. But the first champion is Rhoda. My Rhoda is built a little differently than I talk about in the guide because I'm using her elsewhere in the game for different purposes. She scales wonderful with attack speed and can be a great DPS unit, but in your first Elder Drake team, you're going to want to build her tanky like everything else. Her skills. The reason we're going to bring her is because her skills, not her main attack, but her skills are excellent. She applies a defense break with her rendering bolt. She does a little bit of damage for wave clear with her twister if you build her all tanky, but she applies a lower attack damage to the boss. So not only is she going to help you kill the boss quicker, she's also going to keep it from killing you. And then her bread and butter, Tempest, she's going to raise the attack speed of all your champions, along with lowering their cooldowns, so that the rest of the supports we're going to talk about can continue to spam their buffs and debuffs, keeping your team alive and the Drake from killing them. The next champion in the guide that we talk about is the Water Crystal Priest, Zircon. Zircon is meant to be a healer. He's here to keep your team alive, plain and simple. His auto attacks don't do much, if anything, but he applies health with Wave of Harmony, and then immunity and regeneration with Bolster. This is going to keep your team topped off in health, and the immunity is going to prevent the Elder Drake from defense breaking your team and then bursting them. The next champion we discuss is a Nature Grublin Shaman, Mojo. There he is. Mojo is an amazing debuffer for the boss. He's going to provide Disorient, which is going to prevent the Drake from hitting you, and then he's going to also use Jinx, his first skill, which is going to lower its attack speed. So not only is he going to maybe miss you when he does attack, but he's not going to be attacking as often. And then when he does attack, and when he does happen to hit you, thanks to Rhoda, he'll hit you less hard with that attack break. It all kind of synchronizes together. But then where he really shines though, and why you want to bring him, and he has to be ascended to have the skill, is Wild Boon. It raises your whole team's attack, so you can get through the trash waves a little bit quicker and do some more damage to the boss. But more importantly, he raises your whole team's defense. And this is so good in the Elder Drake because as you're breaking in to this raid, level 10, you're not going to have like 6-star gear, amazing gear. This is where you're going to farm to get that gear, right? So it allows you to have a little bit less HP because it's going to prevent you from taking as much damage, which will allow your healers to be able to keep up with the damage you do take a lot easier. And then the final support that we talked about is probably the most important, and that is Xenia, the Light Boon sister. Xenia is going to be a core unit long into this game in a lot of different areas. I use mine in both my Elder Drake and my Steel Widow 10 teams. I use her in Ultimate Blitz, Normal, and Epic 1 through 50, as well as on my Arena offense and defense. Literally everywhere. I know she's tough to farm and takes a lot of time and gems, if you have to farm her on Sundays in the Light Demon Bull King dungeon, if you haven't been lucky enough to summon one from the Light Dark Scroll, but she's worth the time and the effort. She's that good for a 3-star. Enough of that though, let's talk about the skills. Her first attack, or her not her first skill, but her primary attack applies a lower defense. It's the second one in the team after Rhoda's, so the consistency there, right? It's redundant. The more defense breaks, the more likely we have a defense break on the boss to be doing more damage to it, to keep chunking him down and kill him quicker. First skill after her basic attack, Scourge, is going to remove the attack buff from the boss, is really what it's there for, so he hits you less hard. And then her bread and butter, Wave of Celerity, is going to heal all of your allies twice and reduce cooldowns twice as well. It casts a ring that goes out and then comes back in. Each time it hits an ally champion on its way out or in, it is going to heal them and reduce cooldowns. Along with Rhoda's cooldown buff, or cooldown skill, all of your supports are going to continuously be spamming their buffs and their debuffs, and you'll see that when we get into Elder Drake, actually, how often that those buffs are up and then the debuffs are on the boss. It's incredible. And then the last champion in the guide we talked about is a potential DPS, and we discussed a few options. Those options were the Nature Candy Munchkin, Peppermint, and the Nature Crowhag, Verona. Since then, I've been able to develop a more informed opinion, and what I'm going to tell you now is don't build a Verona unless she is an absolute last resort. She's only usable in Elder Drake 10. There's really zero other viable use for her anywhere else. Anywhere you're going to take her, there's someone else that does that job better. If you can avoid building her, do. She's not worth your time and your resources. Peppermint, however, is still a great option. Tons of damage, as she has 2 skills that do damage based on max HP. I don't have one built because I fed all of mine to skill up my blueberry. You can see that over here. The Water Candy Munchkin. But their skills are the same minus their 3rd skill and their 2nd skill. They both do damage based on target max HP with their primary attack when it is enhanced by their identical 2nd skill, Get Hyper, increases their critical hit chance rate. And that's where all the damage is going to be coming from onto the boss, is based on max HP, so they don't need a ton of attack. They just need crit damage and to survive. So that's what makes them great against that boss. And then Peppermint is going to be a little bit different here than Blueberry. Instead of an AoE defense break, she's going to apply additional damage based on maximum HP of the enemy on the Drake. So it's going to nuke the boss down. That's why I'd recommend building her. Since that guide was written, however, I've played around with and tested a few more options, and I believe I have a better option for you all. That's better than Verona, that's better than Peppermint, better than Blueberry until you start building a speed team. And remember, when I'm saying better, I'm talking about for a beginner's team, for someone breaking into Elder Drake for the first time. It's going to be a slow team, the Drake's going to fly away, it's going to hit you, it's going to come back, you're going to kill it. But the best option you can build is Manus, the Water Timekeeper. He's going to add additional cooldown to your team, allowing for more of your support buffs and debuffs on the Drake with his primary attack every 6 seconds, 5 seconds if it's cooled down, or skilled up, sorry. He's going to do some damage and a little bit of healing with his time inversion, but it's really kind of minimal here. That's not necessary. It's going to help with the trash waves and get through him quicker. But here's how he's going to kill the boss. You're going to chunk him down with 2 stacks of ongoing damage every time he uses Reverberating Strike. And he's going to be using it a lot if he's A, skilled up, and B, regardless, because you have 2 other champions on top of him that are applying cooldowns, and then you're going to use his synergy trait for an additional 15% cooldown reduction of your skills. And then his final skill, Temporal Disruption, is more used elsewhere in the games for places like Steel Widow and Ultimate Blitz, but all around, he's almost as versatile as Xenia. You're going to use him in your core starter Steel Widow team. I use him in Epic Blitz Normal, or Ultimate Blitz Normal and Epic 1 through 50. He's my main source of DPS there. He's an absolute must-build champion, and he could certainly be your DPS unit for your first Elder Drake team. So I'm not going to bother showcasing Blueberry just because she's not Peppermint, and I don't want people to say, well, that's a 6-star unit, that's not the one you were talking about. You can use Peppermint, I promise you. It'll work. But if you can, build Manas. He's going to be usable everywhere as well. So let's get into an actual Drake run quick, and then we'll talk about how to gear these units while we're doing, sorry, not Arena. We'll hop over here, Elder Drake, and we'll talk about how to gear the units while we're in a run. So we'll get rid of her. We'll put in Manas. We'll make sure that we have his synergy trait running instead of just the nature cooldowns from Rhoda, and we'll hit go. So Rhoda can be built a lot of different ways, and as you saw the stats on mine probably, she's built attack speed, crit damage, attack. And I did that because I don't necessarily need her in here. She does, I can use her and I choose to because she helps speed up the runs. She's what I use for damage to clear the trash waves and add a little extra DPS on the boss because she does scale so well with attack speed. But for a beginner team that's just breaking into Elder Drake 10, you might be lacking those runes, and you might be, she might be dying, honestly, without a little more HP, and your support's geared the best. So you want to keep her alive, build her HP or HP accuracy, HP defense, HP attack. As long as she's got at least 2 HP% runes on her for your core starter team, she's gonna be alive. She's gonna be good. She'll stay alive. You want 60% accuracy so she can consistently land her debuffs, and that goes for every single support, every champion on this team, with the exception of Zircon, because he doesn't apply debuffs. Zircon needs 0 accuracy. Everybody else, you want to get as close to 60% as you can. And honestly, as far as gearing the units, they're going to be the same as I just discussed with Rhoda. They're all supports. They're all here to keep the team alive. And then you let the ongoing damage, as you can see there, the 2 stacks up there, 4 stacks now, down to 2 again, for Manas, slowly chip away at the boss while they just keep each other alive. Build them with as much HP as you can and 60% accuracy. If you can fit a defense % rune in there, great. If you can fit an attack speed or an attack on Rhoda and still keep her alive, or an attack % on Manas and still keep them alive, fantastic. It might speed up your runs a little bit. But the core focus here is just keep everyone alive. Build as much HP as you can with that accuracy cap so you can reliably land your debuffs. We'll see when the Drake lands here. We'll apply a couple more stacks of OGD, ongoing damage, on the Drake. We'll whittle him down, and that'll be that. At that point, I mean, there's a couple other things discussed in the guide, like possible 4-star champions if you pull them that you can use. Good ones are Benthos, the Nature Naga. He can replace Mojo. A lot of people ask me this question. It's like, hey, do I need to skip Mojo? Or can I use Benthos instead? That one is dependent on your gear quality. If you don't have enough HP on your gear yet, and your champions, you know, they're not breaking 35, 40k HP or around those benchmarks, they might require the defense buff from Mojo to survive. But if you want to speed the runs up a little bit and they have enough HP to survive, Benthos is a great alternative to Mojo because the shield still helps. And then he applies a mark and an attack break, another attack break as well, but the mark to maybe speed up the run a little bit. That's what I like about him. And he does a little bit additional damage with his first skill that's based on max HP as well. We can take him into one run instead of Mojo here as well. But really, for new teams, it's that decision is all dependent on your gear quality, what you got from Elder Drake 7, and if you have quite enough or not. I just realized I hit replay and didn't put Benthos in. So we'll watch one more run, guys. If you've got questions, I'm happy to answer all of them. I'm extremely active on Reddit, on Discord, pretty much Monday through Friday. You can PM me on Reddit. You can drop a comment in the guide on Reddit. You all know how to get to it now. You can leave a comment on YouTube below. I will answer every single question that I can. I will get to all of them. It might take me some time, but I will get to them all. I'm happy to discuss the game, to theory craft, to answer which units you can use in replace of others. But this is going to be the best core starter Elder Drake team that I can advise any new player work towards, as these units are not only going to help you progress through the scenario, and they're going to work through all the Elder Drake levels. A lot of them are going to segue over into a Steel Widow team as well down the road once you're able to farm all the great S tier gear from Elder Drake. You know, those vital sets, you guys. You think they're a joke, but that extra 15% HP really helps you survive those laser blasts and Steel Widow. They're a good 2-set for early game. Along with, you know, the Rapid and the Dazzling sets, they're gonna have their core champions that you want those on. You don't just want the Adept sets from Steel Widow. Farming Elder Drake is easier, it's quicker, and it'll allow you to get the gear and build a few of the champions that you need to break into to Steel Widow down the road. It's definitely the best place to start to progress quickest in this game, provided you are not pulling 6 nat 5s a day and have all the perfect champions for a Steel Widow team, like, off the bat. If you're a newer player, you haven't sunk tons of money into the game, you don't have a ton of 4 stars, here's where to start, guys. Here's where to start. You get into here, you grind it as much as you can, as many days as you can, you get the gear, you're going to continue to progress, I promise. You guys can feel free as well to head over to twitch.tv/simplybreezy. I'll leave a link in the description below. I stream Wednesdays and Sundays. I'd love to see you there. I'll answer all your questions live on stream as well. Thanks again, guys. I've got more content coming your way. Have a great one, and I'll see you later.